Hi, my friends. Stephen here. Get ready to finish reading my book, chapters 7 and 8. Finishing both last two chapters, because chapter 8 is only 2 pages long, as I said in my comments. If anybody comes on, feel free to comment. Please be kind. No profanity. But also, please if you like it, give me a like, give me a thumbs up. All right. If you don't, it's okay. I'm not offended. But also, if you do like, subscribe as well. I can use friends. I can use subscribers. I only have 14 or 15 subscribers currently. Doesn't bother me if I don't have how many I have. But I'm very happy to have the friends I do have on here. All right, let's get started. Chapter 7. Beta Geisel is a super gas giant of a planet. Its size, 10 Jupiters can be fitted inside the planet's massive cloud tops. Easily. It has two versions of Jupiter's Great Red Spot, two of which could be set inside the two massive storms that go around the gas giant. It's colored a dullish brown with green bands of copper infused clouds, blue cloud bands, and a spattering of white wispy clouds along the upper surface of the giant. It's a big world. It looks like paradise, but it is hell. Its wind velocity has been clocked at 5,000 kilometers per hour. That's a lot of wind, and that is a wind gust. It has seven. No, sorry, it has some 500 moons encircling it. One is an Earth-class planetoid. Excuse me, not inhabited but used as a game preserve and park. There is ancient pre-GFS ruins on the southern continent along the coast of a greenish-hued ocean. It is habitable, with all kinds of life roaming the surface and below the drinkable water. But even the natives to the system have no idea who built the ruins. But the planetoid can sustain life. One theory is that the moon was once an independent planet sucked in by the gravitational pull of Beta Geisel long ago. Here we are, Beta Geisel, Sep says as I pass over the gas giant's cloud tops. My God, it's huge, Julia says now. From what I understand, 10 Jupiter-sized planets can be placed inside this behemoth, Natuk says, watching his readings and controls as he talks. And so beautiful, very beautiful too, Julia says. I will take a We make for the southern great storm, and we'll find Geisel City, Captain. Rena says. Roger, Rena, Sep says. But then Rena gets on the navigation computer behind and to the left side, to tap in the coordinates for her home city. Just follow this route precisely to Geisel City, and we'll be just fine. 1 second. Thirsty. All right. Sep follows the route given by Rena as he entered the upper atmosphere. The Eagle is buffeted by the hypervelocity winds that whip around the planet. Cut your engines, Captain. You will not need them. And how do you suggest I maintain course and keep us in one piece? Seth asks, smiles. Oh yeah, I forgot. You were born here. He cuts the engines and only uses maneuvering thrusters to navigate the hypervelocity winds. Sorry. Forget it, Captain Arena says, smiling. As they cruise with the trade winds of the planet, a massive shadow passes over the Eagle. What the hell is that? Stephen asks as he sees a massive bat-like creature passing by overhead. Terrabat, native to this world. I showed you a picture of that. Rena says that it's almost translucent, translucent wings, even dwarf the eagle, and the eagle is big too. Captain, for the eagle to land in Geyser City, you must shut down all weapons systems. This is a free, open city. Anyone can land here, imperial or rebel alike, as long as you keep the war away from the city. Understood, Rena. Sepp says, as he and Natuk start setting all defensive systems on safe mode and shut them down. As he and Natuk, spelled N-A-T-U-K, had just recently been here. He knew the local laws. You see the Terabet, spelled P'-T-E-R-A hyphen B-A-T, Terabet. And it resembles an Earth bat, but it's the size of an ancient Earth Boeing 747 or Airbus A380. And those are massive planes. Okay. The Eagle enters the outer edge of the southern hemisphere at superstorm, and the buffeting subsides like an eye of a hurricane. Yes, they are still in the storm, surrounded by swirling clouds and lightning bolts passing between cloud layers. Some are going downwards into the depths of the planet. Others are shooting up into the upper cloud layers of the massive gas giant. That's weird. That's what I wrote. Sepdog hits the homing beacon for Geyser City, a floating city in the upper clouds of the gas giant, where gas mining, clear steel, and other byproducts are produced and sold on the market to any interested buyers. As they draw closer, they get their first good look at the city, as it is round and very tall. From the base of the city's bulbous anti-gravity give me a second. Dome at the end of a long, slim pole. Then it shoots out to where some landing platforms are built in the outer rim of the city and angles inward to the top where the city is located. There are two large domes built into the sides of the mechanical and mining operations sectors of the massive city. One is a transparent dome for gaming and other purposes. The other is used for mining operations. We've been cleared for landing on landing platform 72A, Rena Sepp says as he follows a couple of local escorts into the city proper. They are flying much smaller, docile Terabats, but each is armed if need be. People are allowed to wear sidearms in the town, provided they keep them holstered at all times while visiting the city, but no rifles and such. Give me a second, sorry, I got thirsty. I needed that. The Eagle lands on the platform designated for them, unmolested the whole way. The unloading ramp extends outward from beneath the Eagle's ventral position, directly beneath the Eagle's hatch, as a hatch slides open. Its occupants walk out And onto a large platform as a group of local officials walk out of an adjoining companionway leading into the interior of a large building. The rest of the structure reaches high up into the sky above. They can see other buildings and platforms that form the city, and several skyways crisscross the skyline between the buildings, and many air cars zip by back and forth, back and forth. It's out of sight of the Eagle and its passengers. Another, more sinister looking craft appeared just minutes before the Eagle's landing, the Wolf's Den. Ooh. As the city delegation walks up, they all bow to the Baroness of Gazelle City and some of her flunkies, as I like to call them. Flunkies. Welcome to Gazelle City, Captain Dietrich, the apparent leader of the city says. Thank you, Baron Gilfer. Dietrich says, smiling. I am to assume you're here to pick up the remainder of the shipment your people ordered. Baroness Gilfor J. Barra. Her first name Barra. Berra says, as long as you have the remainder of the payment with you, of course. Of course, Your Excellency. Dietrich says, handing her a large cloth sack of coins and small gold ingots. Baroness Gilfor has it in one hand and hands it to one of her flunkies. Feels like it's paid in full, the Baroness says, smiling. You may pick up your shipment and load it onto the Eagle at your convenience. All right, next page. Okay, thank you, Your Excellency, Dietrich says. Now Notuk starts talking to the local harbor master for the city to arrange the loading of the shipment of fuel cells, clear lead and steel, and other small components. Sep, can we stay for a few days? I've never been to a world like this, Stephen asks. Same here. I've been off world before, but nothing compares to this city, Julia says. We can stay for a few days, that's all, Dietrich says. My God, you're Tiger 4, the Baroness bleats out, but not loud enough to betray Stephen. Could you keep that to yourself, please? Stephen says. He knows that the price the Emperor put on his head and that of his fiancée Julia. And every bounty hunter in the galaxy must be looking for them, not knowing that a bounty hunter is already here, just ahead of their arrival, or that on the other side of the Beta Gazelle star is a sinister Imperial superstar cruiser, led by Levnovsky, the Dark Ninja. Welcome, Rigo L. Rena, the Baroness says to their bald companion. Thank you, Baroness, smiling and bowing. Sorry. Drinking tea. All right. I need a drink. It's tiring when you read. All right. You can stay as long as you wish, the Baroness says, leading them through the city down its main concourse, surrounded by shops and a few restaurants, run by locals and a few off-worlders, but mostly locals, Gazellians. And many people walk along the concourse, talking, shopping, and eating. Interesting city. Stay here as long as you need, the Baroness says, as they stop at a multiple-room suite high above the main concourse. Please join me later for dinner and refreshments. I have other new arrivals who arrived shortly before you did. Of course, Baroness, Sep says. The Baroness leaves, followed by some of her security personnel, all of whom look ill at ease. That would be. I'll talk to you in a moment. Hi, Hickey. Okay. Give me a second. Get back to where I was. Something's wrong, Tegus says as the door slides shut and Sepp secures it. What's wrong, Master? Stephen asks, looking around the spacious suite. See nothing out of place. His Shaki sense is not strong enough yet. I feel disturbance in the Shaki, son. But we should remain on high alert while we're here at all times. Okay. Hi, my friend. I'm going to finish my last two chapters of my book today. Like I said in my intro and my first comment. But I like to read. I'm sorry if I repeat myself. How you doing? Okay. Next page. Good idea, old man. How do you suggest we do that? Sep demands. What should you call old man, sir? Teus says, reaching for a sword hilt. Master, please. Let's not quibble with each other. Let's be friends here, Stephen says, resting his hand on Teus' sword hand. You're right, Stephen. Lowering his hand now. Sorry, Teus. I went too far with that old man crack, Sep says. Apology accepted, Captain. Teus says, as both men shake hands. Okay, you do have a good point there, though, Teus. We will keep our weapons while we're in the city at all times. Excuse me. We will keep our weapons while we're in the city at all times. Sep reached for his personalized Arlight R10 blaster pistol, holstered at his right hip, and a custom crafted leather holster. But he lowers his hand to hang at his side. Instead, when he sees that the older man has done likewise with his hand on the samurai sword hilt. Stephen had always thought that Tegus was about 45 years old. In contrast, he was 75 in reality. He comes from the world Theta Sigma, where people live to the ripe age of 205. That's a long age. 75 is not even middle aged by their standards. But that's true. Shall we try to enjoy ourselves, please? How long has Geisel City been here, Rena? She asks. Julia asks as they walk to a banquet hall, escorted by some nervous looking security guards, to dine with their host, Baroness Guilford J. Barra, the city's administrator. The city is like 10,000 years old as far as who built it. My race came here sometime later and found the ancient city, Cloud City, intact. Rena says, as the Baroness now joins them. The original builders disappeared long, long ago. They may be the original inhabitants of Beta Geisel B, Earth-like moon orbiting Beta Geisel. I've heard and read the history of the city and your people, Rena, Julia says as she sees some ancient carvings on a wall in a far corridor. Excuse me, in a side corridor leading to some of the city's main banquet halls. They near the main city. Okay. I might have to scratch that out. Suddenly she felt nauseous, and ran to the nearest ladies' room and threw up a lavatory stall. She has no idea that she's pregnant yet, with her and Stephen being together alone since they first met. Whoops. That's a little. All right. You okay? Stephen asks in her ear as she rejoins him moments later. I just felt a little sick to my stomach, Julia says. I must be coming down with something. Want to see a doctor now? He asks now. I'm fine. Trust me. I'm fine. Trust me. Okay, he says, as they stop before a steel door that's close to a large banquet hall, then presses a button to open the door to reveal two unexpected guests at the far end. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. They arrived shortly before you did. I had no choice but to turn you over to them, the Baroness says. As Levnowski stands at the far end of the table, Lone Wolf appears from out of sight of the open doorway. We would be honored if you would please join us, the Dark Ninja says flatly, as Imperial troopers rush up and disarm everyone. And Atuk spits saliva at them from across the room. It lands on Lone Wolf's armor and dissolves some before Lone Wolf pours water on it to dilute the acid. Tegus and Steven's samurai swords are taken away and handed to Levnowski. Rena tries to escape and blend in with the locals, but she's stunned with a stun wand by an imp officer. She crumples to the floor and is carried away as everyone else is forced to sit down at the table at the same time. Troopers stand behind them with blasters drawn. The steel door closes behind them. What do you think so far? Give a couple minute break. You like it? I'm going to take a few minutes. And by the way, that's not the only shocking news I got to give. A little bit more shocking news in this story, but I will not tell you that. You gotta read it. You gotta listen to me read it. Okay. Moving on. Who is Tiger 4? Stephen hears for the 50th time since being taken prisoner as he hangs by his shackled ankles upside down from the ceiling. But he knows that they'll never get that information, especially from him, as he is Tiger 4. Who? He asks, confused. The rebel who destroyed the Emperor's vaunted battle station, the Dark Star. Comes the response as a jolt of electricity courses through his body, starting at his ankles. Oh, shocking. Ew. I don't know who you're talking about. I was in that refugee fleet en route to Centauri Prime when the Earth was destroyed. Steven says, lying. He not only was on Prime, but he was Tiger 4 and the destroyer of the Dark Star. Okay. He lies, my lord, the interrogator says as he keeps trying to get the truth out of this young human. You don't have to get the truth out of him. We must go with what we have, the princess. Levnowski says, take him back to his cell. What about Tiger 4, Lady Levnowski? Both are worth a lot more to me than just one, Lomwell says. Take what you have, bounty hunter, Levnowski says flatly. Yes, my lady, Lone Wolf says sadly. They had no idea who I am. Stephen thinks to himself as he dumped in his prison cell, lies down on the built-in bunk. There are a few lights in the cell, but he can see just enough to make out details. Stephen, you okay, partner? Sepp asks as he's shoved into the cell moments later. I've had better days. My whole body aches, Stephen replies. You? Same, but you look worse than I feel, Sepp says, too. They had no idea who I truly am, Stephen says as softly as he can in Sepp's ear, as he sits up and leans in close to the German's ear. I never betrayed you, partner, Sepp says back in the kid's ear. I never had any doubt that you would, Sepp, Stephen says. But what happened to Julia? I'm so worried for her. I know you're a kid, but we need to worry about ourselves right now, Sepp says. We need to worry about getting out of here alive, then we can worry about the others. I'm so sorry, Your Highness, Baroness Guilford says to an open portal in the prison cell door of Julia's prison cell. They forced me to hand you. They forced my hand, and I had to do as they said. It'll be okay, Baroness, Julia says as she hangs from the far wall by her shackled wrists, and Rena lies unconscious at her feet. All right. Sorry, give me a second. The next page. And I'll get me a drink. I have no idea what they plan to do with you, but I doubt it'll be beneficial for you. And then I doubt that your friends will survive long either, the Baroness says. She closed the sliding panel into the door. Oh, Rena moans as she regains consciousness. Where am I? She asks as she sits up, shaking her head to clear it. Her body was still tingling from the shock of the stun wand. In a prison cell, Rena. You okay, Your Highness? Rena asks. As she gets to her feet to try and free the princess of her shackles. I've had better days. As they stare at each other. Julia says as they stare at each other. I hope the others are okay, Rena says. She frees the princess, who collapses to the floor at her feet. Rena helps the princess to sit up and lean against the wall now. She now rises to her feet and walks over to the cell door using one of the little tricks her people have. She twists her hand like so. So it's facing outward. Twists her left hand so it's facing outwards and flatten it paper thin. Till it's paper thin. Then she slides her paper thin hand through the wall and the edge of the cell door, far enough to reach the keypad on that side. Then starts working on opening the door by pressing innumerable combinations of key codes, hoping to open the door. It's not a very comfortable thing to do. But I had to show it. Something I just decided to do in my book. All right, break, water break. Sorry, drink break. Okay. All right. I must and will have the princess, Lone Wolf says. You will have her when I have Tiger IV's identity, Levnowski says flatly. What will happen to the others? Lone Wolf asks. Yeah, they are to be handed over to the Imperium, also known as the Secret Police, for further harsher questioning, Levnowski says. You mean torture, Lone Wolf says. Whatever. The Dark Ninja says flatly. I have an idea on how to hand the princess to the Emperor. Baroness. Yes, my lord? Gilfor asked nervously. Give me a second. Okay. What's going on, Baroness? Julia asks, as she and the others are shoved into an extensive processing and production chamber. Stephen, Sep, Natuk, and Rena are shackled together, their hands behind their back. Natuk is muzzled due to the acidic makeup of his saliva. That's nasty. This is a clear Lexan steel production and processing station, the Baroness says flatly. In the middle of the room is a bottomless, not really bottomless, but bottomless pit, deep enough for a person to stand in and not be visible from any part of the room. Hanging from the ceiling is a retrieval crane, and on one side is a pour spout for the liquid made of clear Lexan, allowing it to be poured out easily. In one corner is a small control panel that controls the entire operation. You are being encased in clear Lexan and delivered to the Emperor, Your Highness. It's not a good thought. No! Stephen yells as he struggles against the shackles. Troopers restrain him from racing to her as Julia is now positioned in the center of the pit floor. It was raised and its size set to match her body shape. The floor of the pit now lowers, telling me the top of her head is just visible, but barely as steam rises from inside the pit. I love you, Stephen yells. I love you. She gets out before the liquid clear Lexan pours down into the tight space around her and instantly starts to solidify. Then the crane lowers into the pit to either side of the solid block down in the pit. Then the crane lowers into the pit to either side of the solid block down in the pit. Mechanical noises can be heard as monitors and such are attached to the sides of the block, and more containment blocks are connected to the top and the bottom of the block. The block is now raised slowly up out of the pit. And you see a picture. Oh, I showed you a picture. I don't have it written here, but she is encased fully head to toe, side to side, a block, a clear Lexan. Still inside her, still wearing her bodysuit she wore to get the Dark Star plans and all that. Her eyes half open, one eye open halfway, her mouth just partially open. One of the station's workers pushes the large block over onto its back, so Julia is looking up. Her body, I wrote that. Her body was entirely encased in the block of cleared steel. One eye was half open, and her mouth was just open a little. Her one arm raised above her head, the other clutching her belly, still in her cat suit. She wore it when it went off-world, and one knee raised. And now the Baroness now works quickly to check her vitals. Then she secretly attaches a tracking device on the block to the block. She's alive, but barely. The Baroness says, standing up now. Princess Julia is now yours to do with as you please, bounty hunter. Levnovsky says flatly. Take the rest in my shuttle, she says to her people now. What about this Tiger 4? Momo says. We have to hunt for him another time, bounty hunter. Now get out of here with your prize. Alright, let me take a little break. Sorry, I didn't realize I had I described what she was looking like inside that block twice. I didn't mean to do it the first time. I'm giving you a break. Taking a break. You need a drink anyway. Okay, taking a break. What do you think so far? You like it? Is it good? Don't worry, I'm not done. A couple more pages on chapter 7. Actually, 4 more pages for chapter 7, and just like I said, 2 pages for chapter 8. But it gets, this is where it gets really interesting. The story takes a little twist to the story, but I will not go any further. All right, next page. Oh my gods. Tegus whispers as he sees Lone Wolf and several Imperial troopers walking down a wide, well-lit hallway, and sees the block that contains Princess Julia, her face just visible above the top edge of the block. As it hovers a meter above the floor, is pushed by 2 Imperial officers. Then he sees his other friends and apprentice walking along behind the bounty hunter, escorted by several Imperial troopers, and the Baroness followed the troopers and worried look on her face. Okay, something I need to fix. He'd managed to escape Imperial imprisonment just a while ago and retrieve his stolen samurai sword hilt, killing all of his captors so easily too. He touched the button on the hilt side, activating the blue blade of his sword, like a Jedi sword. Yeah, I did that, but my colors are different. I like the colors I use. Baroness saw the blue flash of light ahead of her and her friends, knowing that the older man had escaped and had his sword back in his possession. As the troopers lead the boy, the captain, and the Nagano warrior down the separate corridor directly towards the source of that light, bounty hunter and a prize go down a separate corridor. Okay. All right, hold on. Let me take a drink. Sorry. And thank you, by the way. She'd also contacted her most trusted city guards to link up with the old man and try to free the rebels now in Imperial custody. The lead troopers pass the alcove Tegus hides in before he strikes, cutting down Imperial troopers without them putting up so much of a fight or being able to scream out for assistance. The Baroness now moves up and undoes the shackles of the 4 captives. Tegus picks up 4 blasters and hands Stephen the spare samurai sword hilt that the boy was training with. Sorry. Come on, if we hurry, She is cut short when she turns to face the 4 menacing muzzles of Imperial blasters and 4 outraged, vengeful faces on the other end. A scary thing to stare at. Why should we trust you, Baroness? Stephen says flatly, anger in his young voice. Stephen, please trust me, son. The Baroness is the reason why I was able to get free and away from the Imperials. Tegus says, I was able to get our swords back. I placed a tracking device on the block when I was checking her vitals, the Baroness says. There's no way for that bounty hunter to get up to her ship from here. I have turned off all lifts throughout the city for the next 10 minutes. I have only one working lift, and it's accessible only to me via voice command. I think we can get to the landing platform her ship's on before she gets the princess on board her ship. We will only trust you when the princess is free and safe once more, Dietrich says. All right. Julia. Stephen says, worried for his fiancée. I was forced to hand you all over to the Emperor. I did not want to, Guilford says. The Dark Ninja threatened destroy the city from orbit, killing every living being in the city, she said. What's 400,000 inhabitants compared to 7 billion dead? And I quote, if you can get us up to her ship before she gets there, then we'll believe you every word you just said, Sepp says flatly. Stephen, take her pistol. Stephen reached out to take her pistol, Mauser M90B officer's blaster, from her holster. Now just disarm it by removing the battery and return the pistol to its holster. Stephen does as he's instructed. You lead the way, Baroness, Sepp says flatly, pushing on her back with the muzzle of his blaster. Sorry. Spelling error. Now Took has gotten his muzzle off and is carrying one of the heavy blaster rifles taken from the Imperials. Stephen and Sepp are now armed with the lighter blaster carbines. He's growling at the Baroness. Now Took is growling at the Baroness every time she looks at him. As they pass along the now vacant concourse per the Baroness's command, the squad of 14 Imperial troopers spots them. They start a running gunfight to a bank of lifts that lead up into the high rises of the city. Thanks to Tegas, none of the imp shots hit them, due to the extraordinary power that all samurai have. They do take out 10 of the Imperials. However, those 4 are then joined by another 30 more Imperials. That's a lot of troops. Just as the lift doors open, they rush in. I have disabled all lifts but this one for another 5 minutes, the Baroness says as the lift gets underway, passing me a disabled lift loaded with troopers who cannot even get out of the lift where they are, trapped between floors. And they couldn't risk firing their blasters, risking their shots just bouncing off in the confines of the lift. Her ship is docked on pad 72D. They'll have to use any gangways, halls, and roads to get her to her landing pad. Better pray we get there ahead of her, Baroness, Stephen says flatly. Sabrina and Took nod their heads. Tegas can only shrug. Let the princess on my ship, Lemuel says flatly, as they start pushing the Lexan block up the ramp into the interior of the Wolf's Lair. Sort of looks like Slave One, Boba Fett's ship, but I changed it a little bit. I got a picture of it, but I don't have it in my book. In this book, I gotta look for it again. Sorry. Nearby, just hovering at the edge of the platform, an Imperial shuttle hovers in midair, a ramp extended from the rear to just over the edge of the platform. Nosky had, predicted the Baroness would attempt treachery like this, so she had her shuttle on standby. Then she got word of the escape of her old friend from long ago, Tagus. Spelled Taigus. Tagus. And that got her suspicions up big time. I hope the rebels are surprised by this little twist of in their plan. She thinks to herself, okay, I'm going to take a little break. Any questions? Comments? Please. I'm about done. I actually got like 3 pages left of this one. I'm going to take a little break anyway. Actually, it's Friday for me, by the way, and it's 4th of July for me right now, which is our Independence Day here in the United States. Okay, on with the reading. I'm about done with chapter 7. One more page after that, and then I'm on to chapter 8, the last chapter. Go, kid, I've got your back. Tagus calls out as he draws his samurai sword hilt and activates it. Getting his blue blade lit up, as a swarm of some 24 Imperial troopers rushes towards them from every direction. Master! Stephen sings out as he's pulled back by Sepp. Go! Julia is your sister, your twin sister. You and she were born in Yakania Prime. You both had the same family lineage. Save her. Save your sister. Save your lover. Tagus calls out. My sister? Stephen says, dazed and confused. But your father was the last chancellor of the Galactic Free States. Tagus calls over his shoulder as he fends off repeated attacks from swarming troopers, deflecting blaster bolts and slashing through attacking troopers. Your mother is cut down by repeated blaster bolts from multiple directions, his body disappearing in a flash of blinding light and smoke. His sword hilt falls to the floor, useless now. Whoops. Julia! Stephen yells out as he rises from behind a metal crate, blaster blazing away, cutting down Imperial troopers as he rushes forward toward the crumpled remnants of Tagus' outfit. Oh. Then the hilt still lying on top. That damn fool's gonna get himself killed. Sepp growls as he tries to cover Stephen as best he can with his weapon. Sorry. I need a break. What do you think of that little twist to my story? Now, in that story, they don't know that they're brother and sister until now. Twin brother and sister, by the way. Oh, fraternal twins. All right, back to the book. Finished reading. I had to take a little break because I'm starting to get a little hoarse. Okay, I'll start where that damn fool's gonna get himself killed, Sepp growls as he tries to cover Stephen as best he can with his weapon. Stephen is now hit in the left leg, right near his previous wound, by multiple shots. He crumples to the deck in agony as Sepp and Natuk rush up to get the kid, and Rena covers him with her blaster. Behind them, the Wolf Slayer is lifting off from the landing platform. Natuk grabs up Stephen in his massive arms. He starts backing away to a secure place to secure place of cover as more troopers appear behind those already attacking them. Right. Come on, I know a faster route to your ship, Captain, Gilfor says as she ducks around a corner into a darkened corridor away from the troopers and the departing Wolf's lair. You're sure, Baroness? Sepp asks now, as he rises to a low crouch and darts for the tunnel. The Baroness had disappears down. Natuk follows suit with Stephen cradled in his arms. He's moaning as smoke rises from a bad leg wound. That smoke from the bad leg wound curls upward. Julia, Stephen moans out, sorrowfully now. We can be back at your Eagle in 5 minutes, easy, the Baroness says as she leads the way down the seldom used access service tunnel. Just let me have a blaster, please. Sepp hands Stephen's blaster to her. Then lets her lead the way. They do avoid more troopers swarming onto the main street of the city, now deserted by the Baroness' orders. With Sepp and Gilfor leading the way, Natuk in the middle carrying Stephen, and Rena at the rear. Sorry. They do make it to platform 72D without a hitch, and it takes about 6 minutes to reach the Eagle. Sepp rushes into the cockpit, followed by Rena, while Natuk places Stephen in the med bay on the small built-in exam bed. At the same time, Baroness works quickly in the cockpit to bring up the tracking device she put on the block containing Julia. Skipper, we're going to have to take Stephen to medical center ASAP, Natuk says as he joins them in the cockpit. That leg wound is worse than the Medidoc can handle. That bad? Sepp asks. That bad? Sepp asks over his shoulder, concerned. Worse, Natuk says. Data Sigma 3 is some 2 light years away, Captain, Rena calls from the Navi computer. I'll not go back to the Geisel City, Captain, the Baroness asks. Get captured by the Empire again? No way. Well, of course. Course laid in and plotted, Captain, Rena says. And that is the end of Chapter 7. What do you think? You like it? A little twist in my story, isn't it? One part. That was something I was holding until the last minute, even though I described it earlier in my handwritten version. But I had to hold that off until the end. Also, now we're done with Chapter 8. Here's Chapter 8, last 2 pages. And by the way, I'm working on Book 2 on my computer right now. Book 2, all right. I'm working in Chapter 3 of Book 2 right now on my computer, putting it on my laptop. But right now, I'm more concerned about Book 1. And by the way, I got Amazon Publishing wanting to publish my book for $300. I'm excited. But I gotta wait till next week after I get paid, unfortunately. to set up all this. Okay. Chapter 8. Last chapter of book 1. It's only 2 pages long, by the way, as I said. Chapter 8. I'm sorry, but the leg was a total loss, a medical droid says as they stand outside a surgical area on Alpha Hydra 2, the primary medical center for the sector. It is run mainly by droids and a few humanoids. We are preparing to replace the leg with a prosthetic limb. The blood vessels, bone marrow, and muscle mass were total losses. We have begun cloning all the material needed to make the limb appear natural. However, we need to replace nerve endings from the mid-thigh down. Electrostalled biomolecular connections. How soon till we can see him? Sepp asks, looking at his wounded friend in the operating room as more droids work on the passed out patient. The leg had been amputated already, and a bath of cloning material near the table. An artificially cloned leg is growing in a vat of. Now, this I had created at the last minute as I was writing it. Mahantha oil. Mahtantha. That's how I spelled it. That was something I just created at the spur of the moment. Oil. Given 2 or 3 hours, the leg will be replaced in the next hour. The droid says as the droid turns and returns to the operating room through an open portal that's blocked by electrostatic beams that sterilizes everything that passes through the portal. Thank gods we got him here in time, Rena says, watching the operation. Yeah. Sepp says, nodding his head. Last page. The droid lifts the artificially created limb from the bath and sets it down near millimeters from the leg stump where they had the cut. They watch as the 2 ends start mending together thanks to nanites placed in the 2 ends to link the 2 stumps together. The operation typically takes about an hour to complete, but this one took about 45 minutes thanks to the nanites. Sorry, I got confused for a second. They then sterilized the wound area to ensure that no foreign bodies from outside enter the patient's body. They then moved Stephen to the recovery room to rest. I just sore. Where am I? Stephen asked, lying in his recovery room in a soft hospital bed. Alpha Hydra 2, Stephen, Sepp says, looking at his young friend, Julia. Stephen asks about his fiancée. Still in the hands of that bounty hunter, Stephen. Rena says sorrowful. Sorry. Why the devil aren't we going after her? Stephen asks incredulously. Stephen, you remember getting shot? Sepp asks. Oh. Stephen says, it was that bad? It was so bad a wound they had to replace your leg from mid-thigh down with a clone, biomolecular limb. Stephen tries to get out of bed with Rena and Sepp's help. At the same time, Natuk and Guilford stand out of the way. He stands on his own 2 feet and feels the cold of the deck beneath both feet. He tries to jump. He attempts to jump in one spot, and he does not lose his balance once. When I recover enough, I'm going after that bounty hunter and rescuing my sister and fiancé alive. And that is it. Book 1 is finished. I didn't think chapter 7 and 8 would take so long to read. almost an hour to read this, but I also stopped. What do you think? You like it? Do you like the little twist in the story at the end? Now, Julia does not know about that, their family heritage. She shares with Stephen. That you'll have to wait till book 2 to find out. You have to wait till you finish book 2 to find out that part. I'll leave that hanging. I gotta finish typing book 2 up. And also, Stephen does finish his samurai training, but I'm not going to tell you how and with whom. That is for a different story. That's for book 2 as well. I like cliffhangers like that. I could have been a little more open on the idea of what he's going to do, but right now I'm just. When I wrote this originally, I had no idea what I was going to do for book 2 or if I was even going to do a book 2 until I was actually finished with book 1, handwriting my original manuscript. This is the one I'm going to send to Amazon. I already talked to them. They're just waiting for me. And I'm excited. I can't wait. It'll be my first book I ever published in my life. And I love writing. I don't do I can't do poetry, but I love to write. I can't believe it took me an hour to finish the first book, but you know what? It was worth it. I wanted to finish since chapter 8 was so short. I decided to finish the book all in one, read the 2 chapters together. I'm very happy. Sorry. This week was a whirlwind of excitement for me reading my book like I did. I was thinking just reading 1 chapter a week, like I did with chapter 1, starting just reading chapter 1 last week. I was going to do chapter 2 this week, and then chapter 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 over the weeks. I didn't think of reading all 8 chapters in 1 week until Monday. I was like, Monday or Sunday, I forget what day I decided to read the whole book in 1 week. A little spur of the moment decision. And I usually don't like to make plans. Usually my plans always backfire on me. I always have to cancel said plans. So I was able to this week finish my book, finish reading my book. I have 2 printed copies of book 1. My nephew has book one, the other copy. I have the one copy. My nephew has the other. These are the unedited, edited but by me. If you're gonna be alright, I'm gonna call it a day for that now. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give me a thumbs up if you haven't already. I appreciate you coming on, Hiki. You're a good friend. I appreciate you coming and I appreciate your support. You're the only person who's actually sat and watched me through a reading. I'm guessing other people have sat and watched the recordings of these readings. But you're the only one that's commented on my comment pages. But the only one that's actually sat through a reading live stream with me. I had to have some tea, cold tea. This is not brewed tea. This is not tea I brewed. I'll say it, store bought. Sorry. I love tea, but I just can't brew tea. I'd probably burn the tea leaves. And I have made tea before. I'm not a coffee drinker either. I hate coffee. Yeah. Well, I'm going to call it a day, my friend. I appreciate you sitting through this final reading of book one. As I said, I was going to read chapter 6, 7, and 8 all in one time. Sorry, I get so tired to talk all the time. I'm more of a soda drinker. Coca-Cola is what I drink mostly. When I was growing up here in Virginia, where I'm from, and I live at right now, my dad bought a 10-cent Coke machine. A real, honest to God, Coke machine. We had that until right before we moved back here to Virginia from Florida. That worked too. That was wild. We also had a pinball machine and 2 jukeboxes in my house when I was growing up. And I'd go to an arcade, play a pinball machine. I could sit down, stand there, and score a good score, and not shake the machine, anything like that. Because learned how to play pinball on my own pinball machine at home. People look at me like, how do you do that? I'm like, get a pinball machine and learn how to play on your own pinball machine at home. And I actually had a real, honest to God, arcade pinball machine. Dated back to the 60s. I'm just rambling on. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I wore my hat again, but then again, I also took a bath. I cleaned up before I started the stream. I needed to anyway. I had my little kitty cat. One of my kitty cats with me. Give me a second. Maybe he'll come back in here with me. I'll be right back. Maybe he'll come with. Hang on, I'll be right back. Let you see one of my kitties if he's still around. On TV for sound like yeah. I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm not a good little boy. This, my friend, is Osha, one of our four kitty cats. Say hi, Osha. Meow for everybody. That's Mr. Osha, one of my four kitty cats. Thank you. Here you go, little boy. Yeah, go see your daddy. I know. Happy Cat Day to you too, my friend. Yeah, that's funny. The little one I showed you, that was our second youngest one. Our youngest one, she's about a year old. She's a little gray tabby like him, but she's a lighter gray color than he is. They were both shelter rescues. Here, and the shelter's only like 2 miles from where I live, right next to our dump, county dump. I didn't think I'd actually. When I started these streams, I always thought I'd just do one chapter a week. But I'm repeating myself. Sorry. Our oldest kitty was a stray that just showed up at our door one day looking for food. Because my dad used to put cat food out for all the stray cats that show up at our door. And we had a little cat colony on our back deck, like 5 or 6 cats a day would show up and just stay there all day, eat, sleep. Because most of the day was sitting, our deck was in the shade all day long. The front of my house would face east, the back of the house faced west, and we had woods behind the house. So the cats they could stay there and stay cool in the sun and the elements. And my parents put little cat shelters out of plastic tote boxes we used for moving food, shelter, everything they needed out there, so they didn't have to hunt for food. They'd come to our house and just eat and stay all day, stay cool. And now the sun and rain. We even had a kitty cat, a little kitten, little orange cat, show up at our door one year. She was a kitten, just weaned, I guess, from her mother. She was not a big cat, but she was also not a young one. So she showed up at our door one day, stayed about a year or two before we moved to Florida, and then came back here. She had a baby kitten under our front porch, which was so cute. And she looked a lot like Noah Bean. She raised that little baby of hers to know where the food is, where it's safe to go. Even took her up on our back deck, and they shared food with the other cats because the other cats never tried to chase any of the other kitty cats, any new kitty cats away. They would just say, "Come on in, we'll share. You're welcome here." Because no kitty cat went hungry there. Once the little kitten was ready to go on his own, gone. Mama cat was gone to go find her next baby daddy. Never saw her again before we moved. But the baby stayed. Why not? He was welcomed by the other cats in the neighborhood in the colony. I always tell people I watch Feeding Street Cats, which is a cool, nice little website to watch. They have a cat colony shelter. They bring in cats, mama cats, and their little kittens if they find them. Take them to the vet, get them all fixed up if they're injured or anything like that, and bring them back to their shelter to live in peace, in love. That's what got me. Well, that and a lady called Lily Ivo, who I watched. She's from Malaysia. That's when I first started watching cat wise. But I love cats. That's why I watch Nick and Noah the cat. So I want to say Up North Cat Condo live streams. Oh, I'll have to check that out. Thank you, my friend. Let me write that down. Piece of paper. I'll forget. North Cat Condo. Oh, you got to try watching Furball Farm Cat Sanctuary. That's a sorry, up north. My bad. Thank you. I'll check that out. Thank you. I love watching cat videos like that. You want to watch Furball Farm Cat Sanctuary? It's a shelter where they just take in cats. It's an indoor, outdoor, but the outdoor is actually fenced in completely. But the cats are in the shelter. They're outside still with the yard, but the walls are just they call it, I don't know, netting, like metal netting. But the cats can go out and play all day, all night. People love them. They feed them, and they're sheltered inside. Oh man, there's got to be at least 50 cats in this place, and they're all beautiful kitties, well cared for and well loved. Give you that name. I'll write it down for you. I'll check that out. Thank you. Also, try. You're welcome, my friend. Feeding street cats is out of Morocco, by the way. And their English is a little hard to understand, but once you get to know them, once you watch them, they're very nice people. They have people from Europe to come down to visit them all the time. They're very nice people, and they do live streams too, by the way, inside their shelter. And there's a big shelter, not like Furball Farms, but definitely a big shelter. They bring in kitty cat, they bring in mama cats and their little litters if they have any. You have a vet they go to like 35 minutes away by car. But these people never let a cat go hungry. If they have to, like I said, if the cat needs help, medical attention, they'll take him to that vet, and the cat never goes hungry. And then they take him back to back to their shelter, where they don't have to worry about hungries and stuff like that. Yeah, I just started watching Loving Street Cats. I've been watching Feeding Street Cats for a while, and I can't. I love them. I talk to them if I catch them on a live stream sometimes. They do a live stream inside their shelter. Let you see their pretty little things. I found that was that there's a cat cafe. I think in Osaka, Japan. They have a model train set that the cats just spend all day on top of, laying on it while people eat, which I think is so cute. I first started watching it, I thought that's real, but then I realized no, that's not real because I see people sitting around the train set while the train rides around with a camera attached, which I think is so cute. But cats never go hungry; they're loved. People come there just to watch the cats. I can't believe I. I started watching Noah the Cat right before they had to put Charlie down. I'm like, oh, it really it broke my heart when I saw that night when they put Charlie down. But at least they were with him when they put him down. The ones in Morocco feeding street cats, they go out and feed like 200 cats every day. The first time I started watching them, they found a mama cat in the process of giving birth, literally giving birth to a kitten when they walked up on her. And they helped her and took her to their shelter. Now that one they don't use anymore. They shut that down. They all moved into the new big shelter they had. The other one they had was a little bit smaller and access to the outside. But like I said, the first time I started watching Feeding Street Cats, they had found this mama cat in the middle of giving birth to a kitten, literally. They later picked her up. She was in the grass, lying on the dirty ground, giving birth. They picked this poor little mommy cat up and laid her down on a carpet and then brought her to their home. After the babies were done, after she was done giving birth, which I thought was so sweet. He just like seeing my little kitty. That was Osha, our second youngest cat. He's only like a year old, maybe older. I don't know how old he is. We call him Osha, which is a cool name. It's original. OSHA is an OSHA. OSHA. It's an organization in this country that covers employment and employees getting injured and stuff like that. We make sure that there's nothing wrong in companies and stores like that. Nobody gets hurt and everything. My brother was taking OSHA classes at the time. We got this little guy, so we named him OSHA. Yeah, it's in Morocco, feeding street cats. I started watching them by chance. Like I found Nick's site, Noah the cat. I found them by just scrolling through YouTube one night. I was like, cat video, so I gotta watch this. And I found them. I've been hooked on feeding street cats. Lily Ivo is another one you gotta check out. She's not. I don't see her very often anymore. She's in Malaysia, I believe, and she does. She has a little shelter. She takes cats in, and people dump off cats at her home. I'm guessing dump them off. And she takes care of these little kitty cats. She's got nice, beautiful home. First time I saw her, she actually was. It's a cute little video. She's out. She starts off with talking about how this black and white cat started coming to her house day after day. Come in, eat, and leave. Come in, eat, and leave. 3 days in a row. Fourth day, she goes out. This black and white kitty cat. She had this little cat condo along one wall. Bunch of shelters. Multiple stories, like 3 stories high. She looks in one of the shelters, and there's Mommy Cat and 5 little cute kittens. Look up Lily Ivo. I'll spell it. This Mommy Cat was just bringing her little babies to her house. I love watching her. She's the reason why I love watching cat videos. When I started watching, when I first caught that one video with the Mommy Cat coming to her house, that's when I started watching videos, cat videos. She lets him live in her house. We're in this big, not really big, but it's a nice size shelter. Indonesia, thank you. I forget where she was from. Sorry, but she was a very nice lady. I think all people who take care of cats or any animal, I don't care what it is, a cat, dog, bird, turtles. To be honest with you, I love turtles. Fish, anything. I love all animals. Growing up, we used to have turtles. We used to have turtles all the time. We put a koi pond in my backyard at the house I lived in until I moved to Florida. First summer we had that up and running. Our neighbor, who was a train engineer, found a turtle lying on the side of the tracks. He picked her up, put her in a bucket, and gave her to us. Later that summer, not long afterwards, we had 4 baby turtles on the pond, next to the pond with Mama Turtle. Yeah, I'm glad what she does. I love what she does there in Indonesia. Sorry, people help her. They will bring her cats, bring cats to her just to help those little guys get better. That's one thing I love watching. Watching her. She cares. Not a lot of people care about animals. I saw a video where somebody had taken this little black kitten, tiny little innocent animal, and broke both front paws, and then left it. But somebody rescued this poor little thing and made it better. I hate people who injure animals. I have no respect for animal cruelty. If I had found that guy who did that to that cat, I would have broken his arms. See how he likes pain, and relying on other people to feed him. Sorry, I'm not a mean person, but when I come to somebody like him, that's where I draw the line. Oh, look up the Oreo cat. That's another one I found recently. I'll write it down. Yeah, I just started watching that one. That's I love her cats. She's got some beautiful kitties. There's another one I found. I'm just starting to catch it. It's on YouTube Shorts. So this lady's got these two outside cats that live in her backyard, and she has another one that lives in her front yard. They don't share the same, but she feeds all three of them. One's a black and white tuxedo, and I love tuxedo cats. And she'll show videos of these cats. One of the tuxedo. I forget the names of these three cats. And I cannot remember the name of the site. But she goes out. She doesn't go out. She just goes out on the back deck, and these two cats will show up. The black and white tuxedo, beautiful orange, gray tabby. It has a little orange spot right in the middle of its forehead, which is so cute. We had when I was a kid. No, not a kid. Younger person, I should say. I wasn't a kid at the time. We had a tabby show up. She was a gray tabby, but she had a little orange spot, tiny little orange spot right in the middle of her forehead. You know where the M and the V and the V, the little V and the M meet on a tabby? Little orange spot right there. Not as big as that orange spot on the other cat I see. She was a stray that she just stayed with us for a long time, for a few years. She was just a semi-feral kitty cat that showed up. It took us weeks to get her to trust us to let us before she let us pet her. We'd feed her, but we'd have to walk, put the food down, and walk 20 feet away before she would eat that food. Then we moved the food closer and closer. And eventually we got to the point where we can actually sit down next to her and she let us love her while she ate. Oh, I hate when we see when he crossed the rainbow bridge to heaven where kitty cats belong. Loved too. Yeah, I've seen some of the kitty cats she has. I forget the name of them. She has all those cats she has. It took me a while to remember who was who with Noah and Noah the cat. Because I know Nick had two orange kitties at one time before Mister came into their lives again. The first one was Charles. I call him King Charles. He was a beautiful kitty. And I love orange cats. I have had orange cats all my life. I had a cat show up at our door some years ago before we moved to Florida. Had a baby under our front porch. I think I told you that story about her. But she came in our world and stayed with us. Ate food, never felt unwelcome at our house. Then one day went under our front porch and dug out a hole under our front porch and had a baby. Then the baby stayed after she left to go find her next baby daddy. This is after we moved to Florida. No, before we moved to Florida. I'm back in Virginia now, where I'm from originally. Excuse the mess in my room. Sorry, I need to clean this place up. I do have one interesting little thing I do. Under my desk, my computer's sitting on. I have a blanket. Let me show you this. It's a mess under here, but that's a bed I made for our oldest kitty cat to sleep under because it was right next to our closet. A sliding bifold door. If I open it up, he could hide under there and sleep all day, not worry about being bothered. That was That's why I put that there. He's looking for a place to sleep all day. Plus, he hates the noise my brother makes when he cuts the grass. It's noisy. It gets noisy there around here then. All the cats actually hate the lawnmower. What's a light riding lawnmower, I should say. Our other kitty cats, we have a Luna, we have a Zelda. That's our newest kitty cat to join our family. Osha, I showed you, and Mr. Kitty. Mr. Kitty is not his real name. I will not call him by his real name. I respect you and anybody else that watches this video because I don't want to call him what we really call him at home. It's not a very appropriate name. That's a fitting name for him, though. It begins with an S. His first name begins with an S. And that's a 4-letter word. That's all I'm going to say about it. And please don't put it on here. We also had, we lived in a house here in Virginia before we moved to Florida. That same cat used to patrol the neighborhood where he was living with my brother. Yeah, it was, and my nephew. And all the neighbors were calling him the sheriff because he patrolled the neighborhood. Everybody knew who he was. That he was a harmless, lovable kitty cat. He didn't hurt anybody. Kid I worked with at Walmart at the time before I moved to Florida, he actually knew who the sheriff was because he was like one street over from where my brother lived. My brother's house was on one street, adjacent street right here next door, over one street over to across. And that cat would go all the way over there to hunt, I guess, or something. I don't know what he did. But everybody knew who he was. He's slowed down now. He's at least 10 years old. He's probably about the same age. I'd say probably about the same age as Charlie was. Well, I'm going to call it a day for now. I appreciate you sitting and listening into my reading and ranting about my cats and my reading. Appreciate you listening again. Hiki, I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name again. I'm trying to do it right. I remember what Nick said when he pronounced your name. I appreciate you. You're a good person. You're a good friend. Please comment on my... Give me a thumbs up if you haven't already. You take care. You have a good day. Have a good weekend. What's left of your weekend for you? It's Friday for me. Friday the 4th of July for me. But thank you for listening and bearing with me today. Bye. Take care. If I see you again, I'll see you next Noah the cat.